today's video. I decided that it's been way too long since I'd done a tutorial for you guys, and in my October favorites I had shown you guys my Tarte Shape Tape and some other things that went along with that on how I got a really flawless look with my concealer to conceal dark circles. And so today that's what I want to show you. So as you see, I don't look that great this morning. I have really puffy eyes this morning, and I wanted you to see how pronounced my dark circles are, because I know that I am always telling you guys I have bloody dark circles, and I do. So I'm going to get just a little bit closer with the camera. Let me get you guys just a little bit closer. Okay, so if you can see right now, you can see how dark they are. And you guys thought I was kidding, right? Look at this. This is almost as dark as the eyeshadow I have on today. So they are really, really dark. Not only are they dark there, but they have the little caverns right here in the inner corners of my eyes that are really super dark. And it makes me crazy. It is such a hard thing to conceal and to take care of when you have this bad of dark circles. And I just finally, after all these years, kind of have stumbled on things that have really helped me with this. So you guys know the drill. I always ask, if you are new to my channel, please subscribe by clicking the button below before we get started. If you're not new to my channel, I hope this helps, guys. I hope that you enjoy this tutorial and how I do my concealer routine in order to take care of these bad boys. So let's get going. My mirror is right here. I'm at a different angle this morning. My mirror is right here on my vanity, and so I'm going to kind of be looking back and forth, and I apologize if I'm not looking directly at the camera, because I do need the mirror in order to look. I'm going to try and position it a little bit better so that I'm not looking so far away from you guys. I want to try to put a Drugstore and then my higher end that I do use on this eye in order to show you guys kind of some alternatives, because I know that as you're looking at some of this stuff, it can get a little bit pricey. So I wanted to show you guys what I could use as an alternative if I couldn't afford to have this higher end makeup. So to begin with, I always use a primer, an under eye primer. So I apologize, you guys, the sun keeps going in and out behind clouds. That's why it changed, the light is changing in here, and I'm sorry about that. Anyway, let's get into this tutorial no matter what, and let's see what we can figure out, even though the sun is not cooperating. Okay, so for the Drugstore eye, I'm going to be using the e.l.f. Hydrating Under Eye Primer, which I talked about in one of my favorites video. This is better than the high-end stuff. This other one is from Urban Decay, and it is actually the Urban Decay Shadow Primer, but it's the anti-aging one, and I found that this was very emollient and I could use it underneath my eyes too. So let me get those two started for you guys. The first one is the e.l.f. one. We're going to be doing the Drugstore one on the right here, and then we'll be doing the higher end one on the left. So basically just patting motions. Always just keep using your patting motions until you feel like that's worked in. You're going to let that soak in for a minute, because you don't want to go in directly with anything else until you feel like that is a little bit on the less tacky side. So you don't want it to be too tacky feeling. So this one is, again, the Urban Decay anti-aging primer, and it's really good, and I don't hear this talked about very much. I don't feel like it's an amazing product for the shadow primer, but I do feel like it's pretty good as an under eye hydrating primer. Now, Smashbox originally came out with the under eye hydrating primer, so if you're thinking about trying another one, look into that one, because that one is really good too. Smashbox does all these primers. They're the first ones that originally came out with all of these primers, and they do a fantastic job. So this is drying down really nicely. It feels really good. I apologize if you guys can hear a fan in the background. My family has to have the house hot in the winter, and I cannot handle that kind of heat. So especially while I'm filming, and I get a little bit nervous. So excuse the fan if you hear that humming in the background. Okay. The next thing I'm going to take is on the Drugstore side. I'm going to use the Maybelline Master Conceal Camouflage concealer, camouflage concealer. And this one is in the color medium. And then I'm going to use Benefit's Erase Paste. And I think this one is in the color medium also. It's in number 2 medium, yes. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna take a tiny bit, and when I say tiny bit, I mean a tiny bit, because we're layering quite a few products here onto the skin, so we don't wanna get overly layered so that it doesn't look that great. Now, I feel like that little pea size right there is too much, so I'm gonna take a little bit off. Let me grab a tissue. I'm going to take a little bit off of there because I feel like that is just too much. Okay, so with dotting motions, I'm just going to go across. This part right here is the color corrector part. So I have to correct and then I have to conceal. So I'm laying down that corrector part. Now, look down in here. I still have some discoloration down in here. I'm going to take care of that with something else. But I still, as I'm looking at you in the camera, I can still see how bad that purple line is right there with my concealer. So I'm going to take just a tiny bit more. I shouldn't have wiped it off, right? Just a tiny bit more. And I'm going to go right down into that area. And I'm just going to concentrate right there on that line. Just straight down. Now, I'm not worrying too much about blending this like a mad woman because I'm going to be blending it with my beauty blender, my little sponge, in just a minute. So now here's my Benefit Erase Paste in medium. This is really thick. It comes in a pot and it's really thick. I take about that much on the end of my finger. Might be too much, I don't know. But I'm going to go on, specifically on that line. Try to be real careful about not coming down too far. So I'm just trying to just pounce a little bit. Of course, you know, we always use our ring finger when we're doing this. Oh, before I go any further, you guys, hydrate your under eyes before you put that primer on. It's so much better. It really, truly is. Okay, so now I'm going to get a little bit closer so you can see. Do you see the difference? I still can't get quite what I'm wanting to achieve with the Drugstore one right here with the color correction. So I might be able to find a color corrector in something else, but right here I'm not feeling like that's completely corrected, and yet on the other side I feel like I'm getting a little bit better results. Now the end product is going to kind of be what we decipher and what we decide whether or not, you know, it did a good job. So, and plus, you know, I'm kind of turned a little bit away from the light. You can have a little bit more light here, and I apologize for that. Let me see if I can turn up my lighting just a little bit. Okay, that's a little bit better. We have a little bit more lighting going on this side. Okay, so now I'm going to go in with the actual concealers. On the Drugstore, I am going to be using the e.l.f. Maximum Coverage Concealer, and this color is in Nude. So that is it right there. And again, less is more. We can always put more on later, but we don't want to start out with too much. Plus, what I'm going to be doing is, because this is my concealer part or my lightening part, I'm going to be making that V that everybody talks about. So first I'm going to dot across here, like so, and then I'm just going to bring it down and dot right down. I do need a little bit more. I'm going to dot right down, and I'm actually going to go up the side of my nose and down into the crease right here, where we as women get a lot of redness. Okay, so now I've got one of those little Dampen Beauty sponges that we get from Real Techniques. These are the mini ones. I do really like these a lot. They come in a 2-pack for pretty inexpensive compared to the Beauty Blender. So all I'm doing now is just bouncing that Beauty Blender across there to blend as well as I can. I want to look just a little bit here. Okay, so we're looking really good. I'm also bringing it across the tops of the cheeks to just take out any discoloration whatsoever. And I think that looks really nice. Really, really nice. Okay, on the other eye, I'm going to use the Tarte Shape Tape. And I'm going to, this applicator, you guys, I'm sure you guys have seen the Tarte Shape Tape before, but I apologize, I should show it to you. I have mine in light medium, And the applicator is huge, you guys. Emily Noel says, this is not a doe foot applicator, this is a buck foot applicator. She cracks me up. So, okay, so I'm going to dot across here lightly, clear out my eye. I'm going to come down my nose a little bit into that cavern across the nose, and then on the top of the cheeks in a little bit of a V. And I'm going to take that Beauty Blender again. I'm going to go in with the other side so I don't mix. And just pouncing it across and blending it as much as we can. Now when you have eyes that are crepey, that are aging, that have fine lines, sometimes people get laugh lines really early in their lives. That can be an issue and it can settle, and that's really what I love about this Shape Tape, is that nothing settles into those fine lines. You're going to have a certain amount of that settling at my age anyway. No matter what, you're going to have that. And I don't care if you're younger, if you have laugh lines, you're going to have that too. What you see on Instagram with those beautiful pictures of these girls is really truly airbrushed, and I don't care, that's some sort of a filter. What it is in reality is our makeup is not going to be 100% flawless 100% of the time. All we can do is work with what we have, right? So if you have lines, I have lines. If you have crepiness, I have crepiness. Then you need to work with what you have and try to do the best you can and not worry about the rest of it. It's all, I always say, it's smoke and mirrors. It's makeup is just a natural filter that makes us feel better. Now, I want you to take a look. I'm going to turn my head just a little bit. And I want you to take a look at these two sides and tell me what you think. What do you think about these two sides? Now, there's the one side that is the Tarte Shape Tape and the higher end products that I used. And here's the other side. Maybe it's just because I'm completely used to using Tarte Shape Tape and I'm so sold on it. And I know that a couple hours down the road, this is going to look just like this, and this is going to be pretty creased. Even though both sides are equal at this point, there really is going to be a difference in a few hours. So I just want to show you how nice both of them lay down. Now here's the stuff that you can do to really make that under eye concealer last. Unfortunately, in any sort of a drugstore line, there is not a powder like this one. This is the By Terry Loose Setting Powder, and it's a Hydra powder is actually what it's called. This is encapsulated water powder. That sounds really weird, but as you get this powder up and then you lay it down underneath your eyes, there are actually water droplets pulled into that powder that actually lay down. And I think personally, from wearing this for a long time, year and a half, that water throughout the day helps hydrate your under eyes and helps keep that crepiness from being there and looking so bad. So when I first put this down, it doesn't look as good as it does later in the day, if that makes any sense. So I'm going to put down quite a bit just to set this. I'm using a Morphe M501 brush. I've talked about this brush before. It's very fluffy, and you saw a lot of powder on there. I'm actually shaking that powder off and distributing it into the brush. Now, instead of brushing across, because I don't want to mess anything else up, I'm actually going to pat this brush across my under eye. Just really lightly, but it's going to lay down a lot more powder if I'm rolling and patting at the same time. Okay. Going to get that same amount of powder, and I'm going to do it on the other eye. Rolling and patting all the way around. Okay, so I've just completely set my under eyes, and I did that with the same powder because I've never found a drugstore powder. This is not cheap, you guys. I'm just going to forewarn you, this is not an inexpensive item. However, this is so full still, and I have, like I said, I've had it for a year and a half, so this lasts a very, very, very long time, and I do really love it. Last step. Now what I'm going to do is show you that, and I put this in a dupes video recently. This is the Hard Candy Sheer Envy Hydrating Primer Mist, and then this one is the Smashbox Priming Mist. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, in order to just give that area a little bit of a hydrating boost. Even though I have powder on, I'm going to take, this is a flat tip of a Real Techniques new sponge that they have out. And I'm going to just spray that once, and I'm going to very, very, very lightly tap that across. This is the drugstore side with the hard candy. Now I'm going to take the Smashbox one, and I'm going to spray that one. And I'm going to do that on the other end. Very, very lightly tap. Okay, so you guys take a look. This is the finished product. I do notice as I'm looking in the camera that I feel like this eye is not as well covered as this eye, but you can see how bad my circles are, and this is the real me. This is what I struggle with every day. So I'm always on the search. I'm always on the lookout for the very best products that I can find to take care of this issue. This is my number one bummer issue that I have on my skin. It actually just makes me absolutely crazy to have these dark circles. But thank goodness that we have wonderful products. Now, I would say that if you are just starting out, if you don't have the funds to be able to go out and get the higher end stuff, do the e.l.f. products. They're so good. They really truly are. They're great. And then if you can't afford the other ones and you like the way this looks, then go ahead and go with the higher end one. I absolutely really love the Tarte Shape Tape. It's going to be my ride or die concealer, I think, forever, because I've been looking for a very long time and I've never been able to find anything. So that is everything for today's video, you guys. That's the complete concealer routine that I use. If you like having these kind of tutorials where I give you a complete overview, a really broken down overview of how I do these specific areas on my face, please give this video a thumbs up so that I know that you do, and comment down below and tell me whether or not you do like me doing these kind of videos, and I'll get some more out to you, especially for us gals that are trying to deal with so many issues as we age and our face gets a little bit older. But this is good information for gals of every age. So that is everything for today's video. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you in my next video. We'll see you guys. Bye. I really absolutely love the